Let's just start with the situation in the US. I mean, this just continues to be so dire and continuing to weaken as well a world power right now. It's just incredible to reflect on where the country is at after this virus originated in China.
That's right. There's so many facets of this crisis in the United States. There is obviously the human tragedy, then there is the terrible economic damage, and then we've got to go to the incredible political dysfunction that is occurring there. If you compare it to our record here in Australia, where we've seen an unprecedented coming together of federal and state governments, what we've seen in the United States is a real shattering of political authority, as you have state governors and the White House really at odds. And of course, you've got increasingly fractious politics between Congress and the White House as well. None of that has been conducive to a considered and effective response. And I think it's the people of the United States, particularly the vulnerable, the poorer, ethnic minorities that are bearing the costs of this.
If you look at what happened last time, Donald Trump winning, defying predictions and so on, it just seems there's so much more building up against him. Last time there was a strong sort of protest vote. It was draining the swamp. It was against the dynastic Clinton name up there yet again. The big campaign moments seem almost vaudeville now. Donald Trump looming in the background over Hillary Clinton. This time around, we've got so much at stake. COVID-19, the disaster it's been, the economy in tatters, and so many Trump comments on COVID-19, on how it would not be a thing, just defying reality right now. I mean, it just seems like that last path he had to victory doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah, well, I think what we're seeing is obviously deep ideological divides in the United States. I think that for Donald Trump supporters, the president can do no wrong, and all of his critics are inherently, wrong-headed. For those who would never vote for Donald Trump, it's been a disaster. Not only the handling of the COVID crisis, but the last 4 years has been a disaster. But then you've got a sizable group in between who are not that politically interested, who are not that politically engaged. And really it's those people who are going to decide the election. I would say this though, Tom, that up until now, Donald Trump hasn't really focused on his rival Joe Biden. We've seen some quite effective Democratic campaign ads attacking Trump, attacking his handling of the crisis, attacking his handling of a number of other things, including the economy. But when Trump starts to focus on Biden, I think we might see a bit more of an even contest. He is an incredibly effective political communicator. His ability to size up opponents and to skewer them is really quite formidable. And I do think that Biden remains a little bit vulnerable to Trump coming after him. So I think until the campaign proper is underway and people have started to really focus on the election from probably September onwards, the beginning of September onwards, we're not really going to get a sense of the balance of this contest.
And you think that could still be a potent attack by Donald Trump? I mean, Joe Biden's obviously been extremely underwhelming at times himself, but amidst, if this crisis really continues at that level, I mean, presumably it'll include some classic Donald Trump name-calling as well, that the people in the middle you spoke about, and there aren't a lot in America, but they still have an impact on the result, won't just go, surely we have bigger issues right now?
Donald Trump is a master at unbalancing opponents. He's incredibly good at using incendiary language, at using outrageous claims, at using outright lies to really drag the contest onto his own ground where he feels comfortable. We saw Hillary Clinton fall to that tactic in 2016, and it's going to take a huge amount of self-discipline from Joe Biden not to be dragged into those Trump areas of contest. I don't personally think Joe Biden has that sort of discipline, but we'll have to see. So much does hinge on how good the campaign team around Biden is. and how willing he is as a candidate to be controlled by them, if you like, or to be managed by those by that campaign team.
I wanted to ask you about a big declaration from the US that most of China's territorial claims in the South China Sea are illegal. The reaction key now from what happens from here, Australia so far non-committal?
Yeah, look, I think this is just another front in the rhetorical war that's opening up. We've seen that very much confined to coronavirus and Hong Kong. Obviously, the United States is opening up another front here. We know that the United States, Australia, Japan, other countries don't accept the legality of China's claims in the South China Sea, and in fact accept the arbitral decision of several years ago that found against the legality of China's claims there. So I don't think it really changes very much. I think there will be a predictable response from Beijing. It's just another front in the rhetorical war, really.
Just finally, we're nearly out of time, but we've made a stand on Hong Kong, Australia that is, over this issue with one country, two systems, and obviously the usual threats have come from China, but we've got others, the UK, Canada, going down this path. Is there any safety in numbers, or are you expecting some more trade ramifications?
Oh, it's always hard to tell with China. I think China relies on the unpredictability of its actions to increase their effectiveness. What's really interesting is how unsuccessful the beef ban has been, for example. We've seen an unprecedented growth in beef exports to China this year. So, look, it's hard to tell. I doubt China will be distracted in its anger against Australia. It's angry at us for a whole range of reasons, and this will only add another element to that.
Michael Wesley, appreciate your time. Thank you.